How to use your Google Sheet. So, firstly, you've got your ticky boxy bit up the top. So, anything that you feel you want to put in that you want to do multiple times a week or every single day, you're going to pop in that wee habit tracker up the top, and then you're just going to click the boxes relevant to obviously what you're doing. So, I'm just going to click one, and then obviously, if you didn't mean to do that, you just unclick it again. So, from there, you've then got a good visual reference of where your strong areas are and where your weak areas are. Next, moving down, we've got the yellow highlighted bit. So that's going to be your overall goals and events. So this is going to be a countdown table so that you can see how many weeks and how many days you've got until that chosen goal. Now, it can be anything. It can be a holiday. It can be losing a certain amount of weight. It can be fitting into your favourite pair of jeans, blah, blah, blah. But whatever you do, and as your goal, you're going to pop the date in. So I'm just going to show you how to enter that. So in the yellow box, it says dates must be entered as 19 July 23. So what that means is if you try and put it in as 19th of July 2023 like that, it's going to corrupt the formula because it's not in the right format. So it needs to be 19 space first 3 letters of the month and then the year. So we're just going to put in obviously 2026 just so that it gives you a countdown. So from there, it tells you how many weeks and how many days left to that chosen goal. So just a very, very good handy wee countdown thing so that you can see how long you've got to your chosen goal. And moving across to the goal section, so you've got any goals that you want to put in for that chosen month, but just make sure that they're realistic because I want you to be able to tick as many of these off as possible and not be having anything that was left unticked or unachieved. And again, it's going to happen, but I want to minimise the risk of that. Moving on to the right-hand side, we've got the plan. So that's just for me to fill out, all right? So don't worry about that. And moving over to the left-hand side now, we've got anything that's going to motivate you or you're going to use as a reward or an incentive. So we're just going to zoom in on that. So anything that you want to then work towards or reward yourself with, you pop in that box. And then last bit is any obstacles you feel you need to overcome. So that's anything that you feel that you're doing too much of or too little, you pop into that wee box and you just use your wee ticky boxy thing to make sure that you're either doing it or if you're not doing it. If you've not done it or if you've not got any better at that chosen thing, then you pop it into the next months and then we make sure that we are aiming to work on that as much as possible. So from there, we're just going to zoom out and we're going to press the back button. So we're then just going to work along the tabs now. So goal tracker is going to be all of your goals that you decide, but they're going to be then put into a further tracking table, which tells you loads of different things about it. So it tells you what your starting value is, where you are in terms of like your progress, what the difference is between obviously your goal and your target, the current and the goal. You've then got how many weeks and how many days remaining to that target. You've got the target of how much you should be losing or gaining per week. You've then got the expected value by today, so that'll keep live updating every single day. You've then got, so basically the thing that you need to worry about the most is this wee column here, status. So whether you're behind, whether you're on track, or whether you're ahead of schedule, it will show you based on you updating those numbers. So to update the numbers, you're then just going to go into your measurements tab, which is the next one over. And from there, now I'm going to go over the next bit in 2 seconds, but there's a wee table here. So I've said, please don't move the table. Don't bugger about with it, because if you move it in any way, then it will mess up the formulas because I've got each cell is then linked to the other tab. So anytime that your weight changes or anytime that your body fat or anything changes in this wee section, you're just going to update the current tab. So anything in yellow is for you or me to change. Anything that's in white, and this probably goes for the other tab here, anything in white, you can see when I click that, it's got a wee formula down the bottom. So don't touch any of that, because if you delete any of that out, then it'll mess up the formula. And don't worry if you do. So say, for example, I delete this out by accident, or I add something in thinking I was meant to add it in there, and I'm like, uh-oh, it's just now made all the formula go wonky. We then just go up to the wee arrows up the top and you just press the one pointing to the left and it just undoes that. And it just means that any mistakes you make, you can just sort. But never, if you make a mistake, never click the tick in the top left-hand corner or don't come out of it, because you can easily just press the undo button. But if you come out of it or you press that wee tick, it'll automatically save what you've done and then it can't be rectified. And then you'll need to let me know what you've done and then I'll fix it. So from there, we're then going to go back to the measurements tab. So again, any example here, so you can just put whatever the goal is, you can pop it in there and it'll automatically change it in the other tab into the goal tracker. So you're just going to update, anytime that these change, you're just going to update them so that it then updates into the most current values here. All right. And then your short-term goals is, well, depends what you're doing. So if you're doing the Incinerate, the 8-week fat loss challenge, it's only going to be these ones that you're going to be filling out. If you're then moving on to further coaching, or you've been with me for a while, then it's going to be sorting out your goals into short, medium, or long term. And then we're going to put the 5 or 1 to 5 most important goals in this column here. From there, we're then going to move on to your calorie deficit calculator. So basically, you don't need to use this if you don't want to, but it's basically just a wee calculator essentially to make sure that you're either under or over, depending on what your goal is, your calories for the week. So you would use your MyFitnessPal, you would see how many calories you've consumed, you would pop that into the consumed bit, you would check your watch, and you can only use this if you've got a calorie counting watch. You would put in how much you've burned, and then it just tots it up over the week and tells you whether you're over or under for the week. From there, we're then going to go into the program. So that's really for me, so don't worry about that. It's only where I write the programs and where any of the programs go for backup, so don't worry about that. And then next, we've got a questionnaire tab, which is basically, I'll take the information from an in-depth questionnaire that will get you to do after 4 weeks. And then we put all the answers in there, and it's basically just a deep dive into habits, behaviors, blah, blah, blah. And then we use that to work on over time. But apart from that, you've then got all the rest of your months in here, and then down the bottom. So if we're going into a new year, you press year selector, you click on the year, and then you press the wee drop down tab and then change it to whatever year you need it to. And then from there, it'll automatically then change all of the relevant dates to then match up with the relevant year, so that it's basically just matching the calendar dates. All right. And then apart from that, that is you all done.